Hi, and welcome to It's the Heart Work People, Passion, and Purpose podcast. This podcast is about people finding their passion and walking in their purpose. And I'm your host, Dr. Terry Ross. Our mission is to help people live the extraordinary life that they dream of. On It's the Heart Work, we share stories of people who are finding their dreams, who have found their passion and walking in their purpose, because we know that that first step can sometimes be difficult because we don't know what to do. Sometimes we are afraid, but we know all have a passion and we all have a purpose. And that's what the hard work is about, is to help people live the extraordinary life that they dream of. And today I'm so excited to have with me a friend and colleague, attorney Tracy McDuffie. He is CEO and founder of Answer Your Call, a company that's based on helping people with personal development and coaching. Attorney McDuffie has also written a book, and I'm going to let him introduce the book and tell us what the book is about. But first of all, I want Attorney McDuffie to tell us who he is, why did he start this company, and where he is right now with this company.
Yes, so thank you very much, Terry. It's an honor and pleasure to be here having this discussion with you today. So, my name is Tracy McDuffie Jr. I am an attorney by trade, but my passion and purpose is coaching and helping people, especially men, with their personal development. I started this company. It came out of my own personal journey, which I'll get into a little more when we talk about the book. But I really have a passion for helping people get to the place that they want to be in life, to make sure that they are living lives of purpose, and to make sure that they are also living lives of passion, because I think the two are very connected. And once you do one, the other one will soon follow or will be running right alongside of it.
And why did you come up with the name Answer Your Call?
Because answer your call, that's interesting. Because the book is called The Call You Can't Miss.
Okay.
And life, you only get one life. You only get one. And it is important that you answer the call. Everyone was called to do something. You're not an accident. You weren't created just to be here, just to exist. You were called to bring the gifts and unique talents that you have to the world.
Yes.
So the reason it's the call you can't miss is because if you miss that call, one, I feel like you've missed life. You've missed a big, very important part of life, and other people are missing it too because we're not all the same. I'm an attorney, you're an educator, there's doctors, there's engineers, there's a whole lot of people. If we all had the same gifts and talents, then the world would be a very boring place and there wouldn't be things that we would get. If there were no doctors, then, we'd all probably have unfortunate results at the first sign of any kind of illness or health issue. So we all play a critical role and we all have something to do. So we all have a call and you cannot miss that call because you only get one opportunity at answering that call in this one life that we have.
Absolutely, because I am definitely an educator at heart. I think my whole life I've been teaching something. If I learn something, I'm excited about it. And this podcast is called for people who found their passion and walking in their purpose, because I like purpose to come last, because usually when we find that passion, we're excited. We're ready to go, but we don't want people to get lost in the passion, because sometimes we can be so passionate about things that we forget our purpose. And that's something
Right.
that my wife would always remind me about as a principal. And even as a teacher, she would say, hey, don't get so passionate about this, because if you get so passionate about it, you may get in your way of your overall purpose for being there with the students. So take a step back and just let things kind of unfold. And that it is so important that we do that and that we know how to even take that first step. And you said the title of your book again is Answer the Call You Can't Miss.
Yes, the call you can't miss.
So tell us about that, and why did you
So
title it?
right, because I knew I had a call to answer, right? So it started a few years ago, and it's a question I've probably been asking myself for um, when I came to that point in 2022. A question I had been asking myself for about 4 or 5 years, Terry, was what was I placed on earth to do?
Yes.
I just felt like there was more to life. And I don't know how many people get that feeling, but I feel like a lot of people they wake up and they feel like there has to be more to life. I can't not just be doing the same things just to do them versus the same things feeling like I am walking in a purpose. I am actually making a huge difference. So I had been asking myself that question for years. In 2022, I came into 2022 and my theme for that year is I have a theme for every year. My
Yes.
theme for that year was purpose.
Yes.
Funny thing, 2 months later, February of 2022, I get a call from my good friend Justin Swain, and he says, "Hey, I'm having this Men Moving with Purpose event on Father's Day weekend, and I want you to be one of the speakers and panelists at
Yes.
this event." I said, "Of course, I would love to." I said, "Yeah, just let me know the details, and I'm there. I'm there." So we have that discussion and we're coming close up to the event. Now, this event was to honor men who had been big time leaders in the community. You had, pastors there, you had dignitaries there, a guy who was a former mayor, a guy who was a former civil rights attorney. And these people are there being honored. I'm one of the speakers and panelists. So I'm speaking to this crowd of people about their purpose, but I felt like a fraud because I said, I haven't discovered my purpose. I don't feel like I'm
Yes.
living a life of purpose.
Yes.
So it was great that I was called to do that event because I started mapping out how do I get to my purpose. And not too long after that event passed, I had planned it out before the event because that event was on Father's Day weekend. And I always remember the day because it was Juneteenth. My wife's birthday is on Juneteenth. So I remember exactly when it was, but the the uh the event I started planning once I realized, I'm speaking to these men and I feel like I'm speaking about something that I don't really know about or I don't have credibility on. And I planned out starting July 1st a 40-day fast. And during that 40-day fast, I started one of the things I said I wanted to do on that fast was to journal every single day. I started journaling every single day, trying to figure out what's my purpose, what's my purpose. And somewhere about halfway through there, Terry, I said, I'm gonna write a book about purpose. I had always wanted to write a book. Inspiration never hit me on what to actually write it about.
Mhm.
And then that's where the book came from. So it came from a year of a theme, 2 months later, someone asking me to speak, that really getting me serious about, okay, I really have to figure this out to a fast that was unplanned at the time. And then journaling, which led to me writing a book.
Yes, you did not miss that call. That
No,
is so
not
awesome. Yeah. So, and that's how things happen. That's why we have to remain open. And the fact that you did it anyway, you went to that event and you spoke anyway. That was the beginning of you finding where you wanted to be. Imagine if you had said, "Hey, I can't speak to them about this," but you're already successful. You're already a successful attorney. That's why they called you. So even part of that was part of your purpose. They thought you
right.
were in your purpose.
Exactly,
You're doing it
exactly.
so well. They thought you were in your purpose. And you're saying, no, it's something deeper. It's another layer to this. This is my job. This is what I love. This is my craft. But there's another layer to this. That's how it happens with us. And that's kind of how you and I met. We're both in a space now where we are coaching people, where we're helping people to get to the next level. Mine is in education and also with small businesses because my company is a small business and you have to start somewhere. And I've
Right.
been documenting my journey so that I can share it because I know that there are dozens, hundreds of thousands of people out there that feel this urge inside of them to do something more, but they're afraid to take that next step. And
Exactly.
and sometimes we have to be moved out of spaces in order for us to do that because I loved being a principal. I worked at central office before, and I've been at central office several times, and I always find my way back to the principalship because that's with the young people, that's molding our future. And who wants to be a high school principal? They used to say that was one of the most stressful jobs in the world, being a principal. And I loved it because I mean, if you're in a high school, middle school, even an elementary school, if you don't have 3 or 4 belly laughs a day, something is wrong with you. And that's why I
Yeah.
knew that my passion was teaching because children are just natural comedians because they give it to you pure from where they are.
Right.
The
Right.
filters are not there. They've not heard all of this baggage, and they're not carrying all of this baggage that we carry. So when they say things to you, they're saying it right where they are. And my background is special education. So I've dealt with a lot of students who are diagnosed with autism and on the spectrum in places. And that's my favorite group of students because they see life for what it is right then. No
Right.
filters, not a whole lot of extra emotions around it. It's okay. Are we doing this or are we doing that? You said we're doing this,
Right.
and I loved every minute of it. They've taught me so much. So thank you for answering that call and for stepping into your purpose. So let's talk about the book. The book is A Call You Can't Miss. And we're going to
Yes.
discuss chapter 3 today, your inner circle. Let's talk about what made you write that chapter around your inner circle.
Because people are the most important. I don't like to refer to them as a resource, but people are resources, but it's the most
Yes.
important thing that we all have in our lives. I hear so many times, and these are people who are super successful, sometimes say they're self-made millionaires. And I guess they're successful to a point where they can say that, I guess, if they feel that way. However, no one is self-made. First of all, no one has ever said, I want to be born and was born. It took two people to make every human on this earth. So the first thing is no one is self-made. Let's start there. Two, even if you've gotten to a certain point of success in life, someone has helped you on that journey.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
it's important to have a team around you that's helping you. And the title, Your Inner Circle, really spawned from the fact that I'm a sports guy. I love sports, and football is my favorite sport, specifically college football. There's nothing like a Saturday in the fall for me. So I love sports, and I compared the the people who were part of the inner circle, which we'll get into shortly,
Mhm.
to football, to sports. So your people, it's a team of people, and teams have one common goal that they're working towards, and that's what where the inner circle came from.
Absolutely. And that common goal is usually to win.
Yes,
Absolutely. And some people are going to make the team and some people are not going to make the team. But all
right.
people are valuable. All people are valuable as a part of the journey. So let's get into it then. Tell us about the start of this inner circle. And where do you start?
Okay, so you start with the fans, the people who are actually not in the inner circle, right? And you say that's a weird place to start. Why would you start with the fans? Because first of all, you
Yes.
have to know who's on your team and who's not on your team. That's the first critical point. Because a lot of people aren't for you,
Mm.
and they're sitting there trying to sabotage you. And if you let these people stick around, they will take you away from your destiny and your purpose.
Yes.
So some people say, well, your fans, these are people who are cheering for you. What's the problem with the fans? Here's the thing. When you think about it from a sports perspective, fans are fickle. Fans are cheering for you so long as you're providing them with the benefit. When you stop providing them with the benefit, they are no longer your fans. Take, for example, you have LeBron James, one of the greatest basketball players to ever live. He was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. He played there for the first part of his NBA career, and he did everything he could, sweat, blood, and tears, to be the best player he could be for that team and to bring them a championship. Unfortunately, his first 7 or so years in the NBA, he could not do that. So he made a decision that was best for LeBron James, his family, his goals, his aspirations, to leave and go play for the Miami Heat, another team. As soon as he left the Cleveland Cavaliers, you had people burning his jerseys. You had the owner of the team that he played for, the Cavaliers, stoop so low as to make negative comments about him instead of being, professional. You think the adults in the room would be more professional and just, take it, but he even stooped low to that
Yes.
point. And these people hated him. The first time he came back to Cleveland to play a game, they booed him like crazy, right?
Wow. Yes.
Because they're fans. They were fans of LeBron James. They had the jerseys to burn. They obviously spent their hard-earned money on a jersey to wear to the games, only to burn it when he left them. Once he stopped providing them with the benefit or stopped winning for them, they left them. So that's where you start with this whole team, is who's not on the team. And those are your fans. Let them cheer, let them do whatever they want to do from the stands. But realize that as soon as you stop providing them a benefit, they're probably not going to be in your corner anymore, and they are not part of your team.
Absolutely. And fans want you to win. Fans want you to win, and they'll stay around for that. I played football at Jackson State under the late, great W.C. Gordon and James Big Daddy Carson. And they would remind us that we had some of the best fans in the world at Jackson State, but no one was going to spend their hard money coming and sitting in a hot stadium to see a losing team. They were coming to see us win. And as much as they loved us, they were not going to just stick around to see us lose. And they weren't going to stick around to see us playing half-hearted. They came to see Blue Bengal Tigers play. And so
Yes.
you're going to have your diehard fans, and then you're going to have your fair weather fans. As long as you're winning, as long as you're doing well, they are there. So thank you for sharing that, because you do have to know who's a part of the team and who's in the stands just cheering you along. Because sometimes you're not going to have a cheering squad. You're going to have to find that within yourself to keep going when there's no one there cheering for you. So thank you. So what's the next layer of this inner circle once we move past the fans?
So from the fans, you go to the next natural progression or transition, which would be to your cheerleaders. So
Yes.
now what do cheerleaders do? Cheerleaders, they cheer for you, right?
Yes.
Cheerleaders are those people in your life who will be there for you no matter what.
Yes.
These are people, that's what makes them opposite of fans. You just said it yourself. Fans are not going to come if you're losing. Fans are not going to be there and paying their hard-earned money if the product on the field is not worth them paying their money for, or is not worth their time.
Yes.
Cheerleaders are the total opposite. Cheerleaders, have you ever seen a team where the cheerleaders didn't show up? It don't matter if the team is 0-16, 0-10. The cheerleaders are there every game cheering for the team. Why? Because cheerleaders don't care if you winning by 50 or you're losing by 40. Cheerleaders are going to cheer. They're going to be loud. Now, these are going to be people who are really tight knit in the inner circle, right? So these are going to be your parents, your spouse, your kids, whoever it may be for you, and it could be real good friends as well. But
Yes.
these people, they really don't care about the results because they care about you. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what the results are. They are going to cheer you on. They are going to do everything they can to make sure that they're encouraging you to be successful. And here's another thing about cheerleaders, even bigger. Cheerleaders love you so much that they're going to get other people to cheer for you.
Yes.
People don't think about cheerleaders is, yes, they're there cheering, but a lot of times cheerleaders are trying to fire up the crowd to get them loud to cheer
Yes.
as
Yes.
well, right? And that's what cheerleaders do. Even though they may not get the direct benefit or glory, they're going to point and they're going to try to get as many people involved to help you to be successful. They're going to refer you to someone. They're going to be the ones who are going to say, hey, I know someone who's doing this. Hey, Tracy, Terry, you should probably reach out to that person there. This person here will help you. That's what cheerleaders do. Cheerleaders don't only cheer for you, they try to get other people to cheer for you in your success. They try to connect you with other people who are going to help you out. They fire up the crowd.
That's right. They get the fans on board. They get the fans
Yes.
fired up. Absolutely. So we have the fans and we have the cheerleaders, and you're exactly right. The cheerleaders are there when you're winning. They're there when you're losing. They're there when you're down, and they're trying to pump you up. They're pushing you along. They're telling you hold your head up. They're telling you straighten your back up. They're telling you to take that next step. Defense, offense. They're there for you. So we have our fans, we have our cheerleaders, and then what's the next progression of this inner circle?
So the next progression is coaches.
Yeah.
So coaches are important. Coaches are important because coaches have usually either been there or done that. And these are the people who can help you to develop a game plan to be successful.
Yes.
Now, coaches might not have as much talent as you. Sometimes a coach may have more talent than you had at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, the coach knows, they know how to develop a game plan to make sure you're successful. In football, the reason I use football for this analogy, even in the book, is because in football, you have coaches that coach from a coach's box.
Yes.
right? The head coach, he's down there on the field with you, but it's hard to see everything that's going on when you're there at eye level.
Yes.
Now, the head coach needs to be on the field. He needs to check the temperature of the team. He needs to make sure everything's going okay. He's in communication with those coaches up in the box. But the head coach needs to be down on the field because it's just certain things that he does that no one else can do.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, those coaches in the box, they see the whole field.
Yes.
So your offensive and defensive coordinators, those people who are saying, hey, don't go into this play right here, or check for this when you see maybe this type of defense, or you see somebody move, or if he's talking to the defense, hey, when you see this man go into motion, this is what they're doing every single time. They know because they can see the whole field. In life, a lot of times we can't see it. We don't know what's going on. We can see the next step right in front of us. We can see this, but these coaches who've been there before, or who've seen the whole field, who's not looking at it necessarily from our point of view, can tell us, hey, no, Tracy, don't do it this way. Do not run that play. If you run that play, you're going to get an interception. That's going to decrease your chances of winning, right? So the coaches are there to make sure that the game plan is executed to keep you away from things that you may not see. And the coaches is just a beautiful and lovely thing because we all need them. And that's the reason
Absolutely.
coaches in there as well. A lot of people, unfortunately, are out here by themselves on a limb, not trying to figure it out, not investing in themselves. You're supposed to invest in yourself, right?
Yes.
And you're not getting coached because you're not seeking that guidance. And everyone needs coaches in almost any area of your life that you want to be successful. I recommend getting a coach. If you're married and you want to be married for a long time, I have people who I know who's been married longer than I've been alive. So I get counseling and coaching from them on marriage. When it comes to business, I have people who have done or run businesses who are um, very successful. So when it's business stuff, I talk to them about that. People who I look at who might be good fathers. I want to be a good father. So in every single area of your life, you
Hmm.
should have someone who's been there, who's done that, who has more knowledge than you, leading you and guiding you towards success.
Absolutely. It reminds me, and I don't know who I heard say this, but they said that people can't lead you anywhere that they've never been.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds
Right.
me of our parents who worked hard and sacrificed for us to go to school, for us to go to college. They got us as far as they could go. And that a lot of that was to college. And when they got to college, they expected the professors to take us to the next level. And I can remember my mom and dad telling me I would always, sometimes people would invite me out to dinner and things like that, and I wouldn't go. They said, stop turning that down. Go with them because you're going to learn something. Sit and listen with them, volunteer because you're going to learn something. So you're exactly right. You need a coach to get you to the next level. I've had a coach for this podcast. In fact, I'm in a podcast community right now with David Shands, one of the top podcasters in the country, probably in the world. I'm in a community with a consulting group for educators. And then I'm in a, a, a community with coaches, and that's the community that I met you in. So you have to have multiple communities to get you where you want to go because that's how you're going to get there. We can figure some of it out on our own. We can go to YouTube, we can Google, we can find a lot of things, but getting a coach can like double time that for you, triple time that for you. The time that you're spending figuring it out, if you had a coach, they can help you get there much quicker and save you a lot of time and money by just having someone to tell you how to do it, because I know there are endeavors that I've started out on my own that I've invested in equipment that I didn't need. I've invested in
Yeah.
things that I would never use. And if I had had a coach, they would have told me, oh, you don't need that, get this. So
Right.
thank you so much for sharing that. So we've gone through the fans, we've gone through the cheerleaders, and now we have a coach. What's the next layer of our inner circle?
It's the actual team. So it's
Yes.
the team players, right? The players who are actually playing the game with you. Because the fans, we've already discussed them. they're not even part of the inner circle, but they're definitely not playing the game. The cheerleaders, they love you. They're going to get people cheering for you. They're going to do everything they can to make sure you stay encouraged and uplifted, but they can't play the game, right? And then you have the coaches. The reason they're coaching because their playing days are either behind them or they're playing, but they're playing a different game. But for you at this point, you need people to come with you, which is the reason I said I don't believe in that self-made millionaire thing. Because anyone who's probably a millionaire, who's actually built or earned and worked for it, not someone who's inherited it,
Yes.
they have someone working with them. I don't know anyone, unless you maybe win the lotto, but I'm saying work for being a millionaire, right? Actually work for it. I don't know anyone who doesn't have a team. You have an
Yes.
assistant, someone is helping you get that success, right?
Absolutely.
So the team, when we think about football, right? In football, a quarterback is a de facto captain on every single football team. Now,
Yes.
different football teams are different. I remember the Baltimore Ravens. You know, Ray Lewis was probably the captain of that team. You have maybe some teams where a wide receiver or a running back might be a
Yes.
captain of the team. But on every single team, a quarterback is a captain of the team. Why?
Hmm.
Because on offense, they touch the ball every play. They call the plays. They make sure everyone's in the right position. And if not, they have to call audibles or they have to call timeouts. But they're
Yes.
running. You are the quarterback, some people might say, or the CEO of your life,
Right.
which
Right.
means what? You are the head honcho. You are the one who's in charge, which means when it comes to that, you have to make sure you have the right players on your team. There can only be one quarterback. So on Terry's team, there's one quarterback. Now, what Terry needs is for people to be a running back. You need an offensive line blocking for you. You need
Yes.
wide receivers catching the ball, but you are the quarterback, which means at the end of the day, you're going to be the one responsible for your results and your success. And you're the one who has to make those tough calls. No one else can run your life for you. If someone else wants to be the quarterback, they need to be kicked off and placed on a different team. So you have to make sure that everyone is willing to play their role, right? Terry, on someone else's team, you won't be the quarterback. You will be the offensive lineman when you're helping someone else out. You might be
Yes.
a wide receiver, but on Terry's team, right? It's the hard work. There's only one quarterback. There's only one CEO, and he has to make sure that thing is going right. But he can't do it by himself, and he can't do it with teammates who want all the credit, who aren't
Yes.
willing to play their role, who don't want to say, hey, for the good of the team, I'm going to sacrifice my ego or what I may want
Hmm.
to make sure that everyone is winning.
Absolutely. And as that quarterback, you have to make sure that your team is knowledgeable. So as a leader, and I have another company called New Teacher University, and my motto there is that teachers are leaders and leaders are teachers. Because if you're a leader and you're not teaching your people, you're not growing your company.
Right.
And so you have to make sure that your people know, because as the quarterback, sometimes you may have to call an audible, as you said. And when you call that audible, they need to know what to do. They need to know what the play is, because you're looking at the landscape, you're looking at the defense, and you see that the linebackers are up close, so they're getting ready to pass rush or they're getting ready to blitz. And you
Right.
can't run this play that you're getting ready to run if they're getting ready to blitz. So your people need to be knowledgeable enough that when you call an audible, they know exactly what to do. So thank you so much for sharing that. We have our fans, we have our uh, cheerleaders, we have our coaches, we have our team. What's the next layer for your inner circle?
That's it. That's the inner circle right there. That's the inner
That's it.
circle right there. Now it could be other people, yeah, but just using a sports team, those were the main components that I saw. Now someone else might think of something else, and they might have another component, but for me, that's how I look at it, and that's how I look at it every day in my life. What category does these people fall into? So I make sure that okay, I know what I need or what I need to get from them. I can't go to um, I don't treat a teammate the same way I treat a cheerleader. I don't treat a teammate the same way I treat a coach. There's different relationships because part of it is just not knowing what bucket they go in. Part of it is knowing how do I manage this relationship.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
You
And as the
know,
quarterback, you got to give everybody what they need. Everybody,
Yes.
you got to make sure that you're giving everybody what they need, and then that's a lot of moving pieces. But you chose to step out and do that, and when you choose to step out and do that, you got to be ready for it. Because even as the principal of the school, I had to treat the parents a certain way. I had to make sure that my front office staff was treated a certain way, my counselors, my teachers, the cafeteria staff, the custodians, everybody, they all were treated very well, but I had to understood what role they play, and they all were treated as if they were as important as the next person, because I would tell my custodians and my building staff, hey, they see what you do before they see what I do. Because
Yes.
if this building is not clean, or the grounds, when they pass by the building, if the grounds are dirty, papers everywhere, hey, that's a reflection of the entire school community. And before that, even my office staff, my administrative team, when you answer the phone, how are you answering the phone? Are you answering the phone inviting and warm, or are you answering the phone
Mhm.
cold and
Right.
as if you don't want to be bothered? Like I worked for my football coach one summer at Jackson State, and he had me when he was moved from head coach into the athletic director position. That summer I worked for him as a summer student worker, and I had to answer the phone. And the way I had to answer the phone, and he made me practice it in front of him until he was excited about it. Until he said, "Okay, you're good." And it was, "Hi, thank you for calling Jackson State University Athletics. This is Terry. How may I help you?" And I had to have
Hmm.
that tone. I had to have that cadence. I had to act like I wanted to do that. And I took that with me everywhere. And I would have sometimes secretaries would answer the phone like just by the school name. Get well. No, we got to put a little pep in there. We got to let people know that we want them to call, because you can de-escalate some things with just how you answer the phone by telling them, thank you for calling. And then
Right.
the person would say, I'm so glad that I got you. I'm so glad, because I've called several schools. I knew I wanted to bring my child to this school just from the way you all answered the phone. It told me something. And I would hear things like that sometimes. So, as the quarterback of your team, you've got to make sure that you're treating all of your people well. And as my mom used to say, there are no little I's and no big U's. Everybody on that team is important. Although the fans are not necessarily on the inner circle of the team, they've got to be made to feel like they are, because if they're not buying tickets to the games, if they're not filling seats, who's keeping the team moving? Who's keeping everything running? So you got to make sure everyone is getting what they need. So, Attorney McDuffie, thank you so much for sharing this with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about the call you can't miss?
Yeah, I would just like to say the reason I think it's so important is because it's really a message of hope. And
Yes.
I know that's something you deal with all the time as an educator, is giving students, especially the students that you pour into, hope.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, if you don't have hope, what do you have? You
Yes.
have young people who are throwing their lives away. What would possess a 19 or 20-year-old to walk into a place and shoot it up? A 19-year-old a few weeks ago attempt an assassination on a former president.
Yes.
It has to be a lack of hope, because at that age they're smart enough to know there's only one way, maybe possibly two, but usually one way that's going to end, and that's in you being deceased. Every now and then the person is brought to justice and they have to stand account, but then you're spending the rest of your life in jail. What
Yes.
will possess you to get to that point? And I think it's a lack of knowledge of purpose, or a lack of feeling that your purpose is important enough to impact the world. So that's the thing that I would like to leave the audience with, is that's why purpose is so important. And even on a lesser scale, Terry,
Yes.
even for those people who just never ever live a fulfilled life, those people who just never get out of that um, cycle of just mediocrity. And I'm not calling any person mediocre. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that life of mediocrity, that life of, well, man, this is it. This is all I'll ever be. And I will never be great, or I'll never have the things that I want. That's a lack
Yes.
of hope too. When you feel like
Absolutely.
you'll never be able to do, simple stuff like the American dream, like buy a house or things like that. It's a message of hope. And I just really feel that if everyone answers their call, if everyone walks and lives in their purpose, the world will be a better place. We'll all be connected. We'll all be impacting the world in some bigger way, shape, or form. And we would all have hope.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today on this, the Hard Work, People, Passion, and Purpose podcast. This is attorney Tracy McDuffie, CEO and founder of Answer Your Call, a company that's based on personal development and coaching. And he's written the book, A Call You Can't Miss. Attorney McDuffie, how can people contact you if they want to contract your services?
Yes. So very simple, tracymcduffie.com. So TracyMcduffie.com. That's my website. Everything's there. You can also find me under my name, Tracy McDuffie, on the socials as well, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
Thank you so much again for joining us on It's the Hard Work, People, Passion, and Purpose podcast. This podcast is for people who found their passion and walking in their purpose. And our mission is to help people live the extraordinary life that they dream of. I'm your host, Dr. Terry Ross. And remember to enjoy the journey because someone wishes they were in your shoes. So take that first step. You can do this. Thank you.